Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This afternoon, I'm so used to saying tonight. This afternoon, our guest is Erin Kahle, MPA CNP, Deputy Director of the American Association of Kidney Patients. Erin is a longtime volunteer working for and with not for profit groups all the way back to her high school days. That must have been like yesterday. She graduated from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro in 2001 with a BA in Communication Studies. She went on to the University of Colorado, Denver, where she achieved her Master's of Public Administration and Not-for-Profit Management in 2020. She worked for a nonprofit organization in King, North Carolina, with a focus on programs in early childhood educations from 2001 to 2003. In 2003, she moved to New York City, where her sister was living, and worked in the kidney space after a great interview with the National Kidney Foundation, which is where I met her as a newborn baby kidney advocate in 2012. That's me being the baby advocate, not Erin. Um, she uh, she worked for the NKF for over 13 years before moving on to the American Association of Kidney Patients, starting as a director stakeholder operations for the Center of Patient Engagement in 2017, moving on to the director of patient insights and data analytics and advocacy in 2021, and now her current position as deputy director in 2023. She's been with the AAKP for over 7 years. I refer to Erin as my teacher, my mentor, and my friend. I remember way back in 2012 being in a little room with an L-shaped table, and there were 12 of us, and there was this young, blonde, serious woman that was teaching us how to be kidney advocates and go up on the hill the next day to speak with our members of Congress and their staff. And she had all of us in the palm of her hand. She was so wonderful. And like myself, she has inspired many, many, many of us not just to become kidney advocates for a day on Capitol Hill speaking to our members of Congress and their staff, but to become die-hard, lifelong kidney advocates who take great pride and joy in advocating for our fellow kidney patients. Erin has a quotation in her LinkedIn profile that sums up how truly unique and wonderfully unselfish she is. Quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others," unquote. Straight from Gandhi, by the way. Please give a warm welcome to the great Erin Kahle. Erin, how are you this afternoon? I'm going to say this evening again.
Hi, Jim. Oh my gosh, that was such an incredible introduction. I don't know what to say after that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're one of my all-time faves. So, did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
You did, yes. Yeah, you did your research. Yep.
Please. Okay, I want to mention that too because if you go to my Facebook page, in my profile on my personal profile on my Facebook page, the broadcast is pinned to the top of my Facebook page, and in the comments is all of my research on Erin that's fit to print. So if you want to drill down a little bit more, the information is there. Please tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education, and employment experiences.
Yeah, so kind of coming off of the quote that you mentioned in my LinkedIn profile, that kind of sums up everything. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. I was very, very shy. I never wanted to speak up or talk to people I didn't know. I'd never spoke unless somebody asked me a question. And even through junior high and things, I was very shy. I had a lot of friends, close friends, but otherwise I wouldn't really open up to people I didn't know. And then I went to high school in North Carolina. Kind of came out of my shell a little bit more. And once I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was still pretty reserved and timid. And I just didn't have a real passion that I knew of. I didn't want to be a teacher or a doctor or a nurse or anything like that. So I really just didn't know where I wanted to end up in life. So all throughout high school, I did some volunteer work, whether it be cleaning up parks or building houses with Habitat for Humanity. And doing that always kind of gave me a sense of purpose. And so when I went to college, I continued doing volunteer work. And one day, I think it was probably my junior year, I realized, wait a minute, maybe I can make a career out of this kind of volunteer work or this service work that I'm doing. And from then on, I just realized, yeah, I can work in nonprofit and still give back to the community, give myself a sense of purpose, but really benefiting others. And that's where I've been able to grow and really come out of my shell a bit more. I don't like talking about myself, so I'll probably struggle throughout this broadcast, but being able to do something for others is really what has driven me and given me a purpose. So that's kind of where it all started. I stumbled into my work with kidney patients, thankfully having this wonderful interview with the National Kidney Foundation 21 years ago now. And it's become my passion, my career, my lifelong purpose, really, to work with kidney patients. So I'm really honored to be able to do that.
We're honored and very pleased to have you, Miss Erin. Just so people understand, do you yourself have kidney disease?
I don't. I am very fortunate in that I do not have kidney disease. Nobody in my immediate family has kidney disease. Honestly, when I first started working in the kidney space, I didn't know much at all about kidney disease, let alone really what my kidneys did, which I'm sure is like, the general public out there. Um, Kidneys are a complex organ, and not everybody knows what, all the important roles that they have. Um, but early on in my career at NKF, I started working directly with transplant recipients, and not only kidney recipients, but other organs, liver, lung, heart, pancreas. And I became very close with a number of those individuals, and some of them have even become like family to me, like Jim, Uncle Jim. You're one of my family members. And I know I met you a little later on, but there's something to say about the kidney community, and we're close, we're tight knit. There are a lot of us, but when you meet somebody that has kidney disease, they're part of the community, and you know they just become like a family or a lifelong friend. So while I don't have it myself, I'm very fortunate that I have been able to create these friendships and longstanding relationships with people that do have it.
Okay. Let's talk about your experiences with the American Association of Kidney Patients. What are your duties and responsibilities as a deputy director for the AAKP?
Yeah, so as deputy director, I support our executive director, Diana Kleins. I work on building relationships with partners across industry. So that would be pharmaceutical companies, device manufacturers, um, government agencies, nonprofit allied groups, as well as like researchers and academics. So all the stakeholders that are out there working on bettering the lives of kidney patients. I build relationships with them so that we can have a beneficial working relationship where we can provide something for them and they can help us as far as extending our mission. And I also continue to enhance our ambassador initiative, and that's something that I created back in 2017 when I joined AAKP. And as deputy director, I also oversee the planning and execution of all of our programs and events. So I do a little bit of everything.
Just was online today with Jerome. He was doing a webinar on caretakers of veterans, which was very interesting.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
he
he's
did he
doing
did a
a
bang up
fantastic job.
job too.
I know. I hope you're sending him emails to say what a good job he does, because I know you used to do that when I when I hosted the webinars before.
After every single one, Erin, I promise, and that
Good,
includes today.
good, good. Glad to hear
Can you
that.
can you describe for us some of the other things you've done while you're with the AAKP?
Yeah, yeah. So over the past 7 years, I've been able to connect kidney patients and care partners with various advocacy and education research opportunities that they probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to take part in. For example, speaking at an NIH, National Institutes of Health or FDA meeting where kidney disease is the focus, sitting on an advisory council to review and provide feedback on a company's research and development of new drugs or therapies. It's so important for patients and care partners really to take part in these activities, but historically they haven't been asked. And thankfully, the tide is turning a bit, and I think AAKP has really been the catalyst for this movement because we're such a trusted and credible organization that is led by kidney patients. And government agencies and pharma companies, they're seeing the successes of our efforts, and they're reaching out more regularly to us to get insights. And so it's been really my pleasure to meet and learn and understand what kidney patients are going through and try to plug them into these different activities and give them the opportunity to share their insights and their feedback. Because these are things that are really ultimately going to improve their care, and they need to be part of that conversation so that companies know and government agencies, so they know that what they're working on is really what the patient needs and what could be beneficial to that patient.
One of the things that I know that you're big on is identifying patients to contribute to certain parts of the discussion. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it could run the gamut from a pharmaceutical company reaching out to us looking for a patient to talk about having high potassium, for example, and what the impacts of living with that are day to day. And then that company can use that internally to show their employees what their mission is and why they're working on this therapy. How it's going to benefit people. It could be a federal agency reaching out, wondering if kidney patients are interested in being part of clinical trials. We've found out that they do want to participate. It's just that they haven't been asked. So there's a lot of different things where we are finding out from patients what they need, and we can help them, go down a certain path, whether it be with FDA or CMS or a drug company, to really make sure that regulation and legislation and development of therapies is what will really be beneficial for them.
Okay. Is there a cost to join the AAKP?
No, membership is free for kidney patients, family members, care partners, living donors. And members receive a monthly e-newsletter. We send out timely announcements and notices. opportunities to share insights such as completing a survey, participating in a focus group. So members really get a lot of information from us. We let them know when new education materials are available. If there's an event in their area, we'll send out a notice letting them know, like an allied partner is having a health fair per se, and that NKF or AAKP will have a booth there, for example. So we really rely on the patient voice, and hearing from our members is super important to us so that we can really push our mission. And we wouldn't be able to do what we do without our members.
Okay. Let's talk about some of your experiences with the National Kidney Foundation. Can you please explain what you did with your time there?
Yeah. So, gosh, I was there for over 13 years. So I did a lot of different things. When I first started there, like I mentioned, I worked directly with transplant patients, not just kidney, but all organs. And from there, a couple of years after I started at NKF, I took my first trip to Washington, D.C. with kidney patients, and I saw the impact that patients sharing their stories had on elected officials. And so I'm happy to share that advocating on Capitol Hill has been a constant in my work life ever since 2005. It's just so remarkable to watch people share their personal experiences with somebody like a senator or a staff member, a legislative aide, because at first they're nervous, they're not sure, they think, oh, it's somebody so important, I have to make sure that I say things right, and we coach them and say, it's about your life, your experiences, so be as candid and personal as you're comfortable with. And once they get out of the meeting, they're like, oh my gosh, that was great. I feel wonderful. I feel empowered. I'm ready to go to the next meeting. So it's almost like if they can do that Hill visit, they can do anything. So I'm glad that Capitol Hill has been a constant in my life, and advocating is so important, whether it be in person in DC or virtually, sending a letter, writing, using our action center to send a letter to your members, or picking up the phone, going to district offices. I can't say enough about how important it is to advocate and make sure that members of Congress know that kidney disease is a priority, and that they should be voting for legislation that helps improve those lives. Yeah. In addition to the Hill Days, when I was at NKF, I worked on the transplant games. As you probably know, the transplant games are at a different organization now. But back then, NKF held the transplant games, and I coordinated two of the donor recognition events. The National Donor Family Recognition Ceremony, which honored family members of those who donated their tissues and organs when they passed away. And then the Living Donor Recognition event, which honored living donors who donated a piece of themselves to help another. And it was one of my favorite things to do, in addition to the Hill Days, was to go to the games and just see how inspiring transplant recipients were, competing in athletic events, showing that their transplant gave them a new lease on life, really just living every day as well as they can to thank those selfless individuals that donated to them. So those are the two big things about NKF that I really enjoy doing, and am thankful that I can continue doing the work on Capitol Hill.
Okay. Let's talk about the mission for the AAKP. What are its main goals and its reason to be?
Yeah, so just to give a little bit of background, the American Association of Kidney Patients is the oldest and largest independent kidney patient organization in the U.S., We have a growing global constituency. We were founded in 1969 by a group of 6 dialysis patients, and this was a time when dialysis wasn't a readily available treatment option for those with kidney failure. These 6 individuals banded together, they provided support, they did their own research, they advocated for themselves and others. And one of our former board members, Shep Glazer, dialyzed on the floor of the House Ways and Means Committee, which helped pass the Medicare ESRD program to provide care for all kidney failure patients. And so that is really what our foundation is in advocacy and education. We have 4 cornerstones: advocacy, education, patient engagement, and research. And I can talk a little bit about those a little bit later on.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the main objectives and initiatives for the organization. Please briefly discuss with us the things that the AAKP does as far as, and let's start with education.
Okay. We have a wealth of information on our website. We have various publications. We have an understanding series of brochures, which goes through understanding why you have protein in your urine, to understanding anemia, to understanding dialysis options, home dialysis options, transplant. Kind of runs the gamut of a little bit of everything. And they're, full-size brochures. In addition, we have pocket guides, which are much smaller, little guides that kind of fold out, and they're on things like pruritus, itch that's associated with kidney disease. And those are things that you can take with you when you go to the doctor. And you can say, hey, I'm experiencing these kind of symptoms. Do you think this might be what I have? And that can kind of give you some guidance on bringing an issue to your doctor. If sometimes we're embarrassed to share things that we're experiencing, thinking, oh, it's just an itch. It's not it's not important. I don't want to bother my doctor with that. But this provides some guidance on how to do that. And then conversation guides as well, which includes questions to ask your doctor. There's a spot to write in some responses so you can remember what your doctor said when you take it home and talk to your family about it. We host monthly webinars. We have general education webinars with expert speakers on various issues for patients and caregivers. We have innovator webinars that share exciting innovations in the space, whether it's a new drug, a device, a therapeutic, or a clinical trial. We have a really fantastic website that we're constantly enhancing, aakp.org. We actually
streaming across our screen as we speak.
Great. We have a couple of new web pages too that I'd like to share. One is on a rare type of kidney disease called C3G, and the other is on phosphorus management, which is something that a lot of dialysis patients have to worry about or think about. And it's something very common that nobody should feel shame for. But this web page helps provide some education on what it means, and how you can work with your healthcare team to better manage your phosphorus levels. And then coming soon, we'll have a new webpage on infection prevention. We've done a lot of work over the years with the CDC and Making Dialysis Safer for Patients Coalition, and a few companies that are working on therapies to help prevent infection. So we're excited to have a webpage coming soon on that. In addition, there will be a pocket guide on infection prevention. And then we hold events throughout the year, and we record those. We make sure all of the sessions are available for people to listen to, from the convenience of their home or on their phone. So on our YouTube channel, and I can send you the link to share that afterwards as well. It's bit.ly/AAKP on demand. That's our YouTube channel. We have sessions on there from our Global Summit on Kidney Disease Innovations, our National Patient Meeting, which we hold every year, and then a lot of other content is on there. All of our Healthline webinars are up there. And then if we have interviews with patients or care partners, we share them on YouTube as well. So we're not lacking in the education department. But if there is something that that you don't see on our webpage or that you haven't seen us do a webinar on before, we're happy to take that and roll with it. So definitely let us know if there's something that you haven't seen that you would like to.
Okay. And you have a policy summit coming up relatively soon.
Yeah, we do next week, Wednesday, November 20th. Yep, and that'll be in Washington, D.C. at the National Press Club, but it's also virtual. Registration is free, so either come see us in D.C. if you're comfortable traveling, or if you're in the area, or join us online.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the advocacy work that the AAKP does. You've mentioned Hill Days. Does the AAKP do Hill Days too?
We do, yeah. Last year, actually, we hosted our first ever National Patient Advocacy Day that we hosted. It was all of our advocates who participated. But over the years, and we continue to do Hill Days with other allied partners, such as the Renal Physicians Association, the American Society of Transplantation, American Society of Transplant Surgeons. So there are several Hill Days that we participate in throughout the year, whether it be actually in Washington or virtually. And for those, I keep saying Hill Days, but for those who are listening and maybe don't know what a Hill Day is, it's really when it's really like a scheduled event to bring a group of individuals together to meet with members of the Senate and the House of Representatives and their staffers to discuss various issues and legislation surrounding kidney disease. So it's one of those events. It's a time to bring together, people from all different backgrounds that have different experiences, living donors, care partners, somebody with early stage kidney disease, somebody on dialysis, somebody with transplant, runs the spectrum, but bringing them all together to really talk to Congress about what it means to live with kidney disease or to care for somebody that has kidney disease. And so that they can put a face to an issue. So it's not just words on a paper. It's not just a politician saying, yes, I support this, yes, I support that, or no, I don't support this, but putting a face to the issue and making it personal so they understand what you're signing will impact people. It's not just putting your name on something, it's really impacting lives. So it's important that we continue to do that. And even with Hill Days, if you can't participate in Washington, D.C., there's an option to participate virtually where you have like a conference call or a Zoom meeting with your member of Congress and their staff. And it's really quite fun because you get to know the member and their staff. And if you go, from year to year, you kind of learn about their family, and they learn about you and they recognize you. So and this, you've been doing this for so long that you really start building a relationship with them, and you can kind of call them up and say, hey, there's this issue that's coming out. I want to let you know about it so that when it comes across your desk, you remember me and you know what to do. So that's one of the things that we do. And then I do want to mention, we're nonpartisan as an organization, and the issues we support are bipartisan. So we work and we have relationships with people on both sides of the aisle. And really, our goals don't change, regardless of who is in office. Our goal is to make lives better for people living with kidney disease. And we'll work with whoever is in office and make sure that those stories are heard.
Erin, talk to us a little bit about how easy the AAKP makes it to write letters to your elected officials about kidney initiatives, kidney legislation, and particular things of interest to the kidney population.
Yeah, we have what we call our Action Center, which is kind of a platform that people can go on and see an issue. Say, I know the Living Donor Protection Act is one of those issues that has been the focus for so many years now. But somebody can go on our Action Center and see what that legislation is all about. And with the click of a button, they can sign in. Because we need your address to know what congressional district you represent. But with a click of a button, you can send a message to either your senators or your representative and say, hey, this is an important issue to me. This is what it means to me. So you can personalize it, or you can just send the template letter that we have. We have the language all laid out for you. So you really just can send it as it is. But if you wanted to share that you're a living donor yourself, or that maybe your sister wanted to be a living donor, but she decided not to because she was worried that she wouldn't be able to get health insurance or life insurance after donating, you can personalize it and share what that legislation would mean to you. And it goes directly to the member's office, and they read through them. A lot of times, we at AAKP will get messages from the members of Congress saying, I received a letter from this patient, and they have such an amazing story. I want to learn more about them. And so then we can kind of facilitate them, scheduling a call so that they can learn more about that person. But really, we make it as easy as possible. We've also been able to send an email directly to people and say, here's a letter. You can edit it if you want, but this is everything you need to know. All you have to do is forward it to this email address that we provide to you. And so it's just super easy. We want to make sure that patients are given the opportunity to share their voice and to create that relationship with their members.
And so people understand it could be, I'm told, as little as 10 or 12 letters like this to raise an issue and put it on your member of Congress's radar. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and the more you personalize it, I think the more it stands out to the member. But yeah, even just a handful of letters on one specific issue can really move that up in the kind of in the focus of that member of Congress. So yeah, we encourage people, especially if a vote is coming up soon. We'll send out a message and say, hey, now is the time. Make sure they know. They remember when they met you, back in June, or whatnot. So yeah, they do. They count how many letters they get, and they take note.
Talk to us a little bit about the AAKP and research promotion.
Yeah, research is one thing that we're really excited to be part of. While we don't fund research on our own, we help to promote what research is out there. So when you go to our aakp.org homepage, if you hover your mouse over that first item in the left green menu bar, that's our Center for Patient Research and Education. And then you click on the first item that pops up. That's a listing of clinical trials that are currently happening in the kidney space. And it's not a comprehensive list. There are many, many trials that are going on, but these are studies that AAKP is currently working with industry partners on to raise awareness about these studies. So we call this our clinical trial awareness campaign. And we've heard, like I think I mentioned before, oftentimes patients aren't asked to participate in trials, and they're not even aware that a trial is going on or currently enrolling. So our goal is to provide awareness about those current trials So individuals can, take the initiative, look into that study, talk to their family, talk to their healthcare team, and see if it's something that would be beneficial for them. So we also work with industry to ensure they get patient feedback early on in their research and development process. So, so often companies will start working on something, and then they'll have a clinical trial, and maybe the clinical trial will fail, because it wasn't really meant to be beneficial for patients. So then they have to go back to the drawing board and see what they did wrong. But if they can incorporate that patient voice early on, and so that would be, sharing some of the study materials, like the informed consent that everybody has to fill out in order to participate in a trial, or the study protocol, like how long is the study? How many points of contact does the patient have with the team that's conducting the study? And then other patient-facing materials like flyers, brochures that maybe a doctor's office would have. So being able to review those as a patient is really important, because then you can give that feedback to a company, and they can really better tailor their study to be what the patient needs. And it's funny to think about how long companies developed trials without obtaining feedback from patients first. Why would you create something for someone else without first getting their feedback on, are you headed in the right direction? Does this make sense? Would you want to participate in this? So we've been really pleased to work with some great companies that are changing kind of their internal processes, and they're ensuring patients, the ones who will ultimately benefit from the therapy that they're developing, we're ensuring that they are given an opportunity to review and weigh in on all aspects of the study. And I think this is one thing that sets AKP apart from some of the other groups, is that we will really get into companies in their studies, and if a company or a researcher comes to us a little late in the process, and they're looking for more people to enroll in their study, we'll say, we can try to help, but why weren't we asked early on in the process so that we could better understand what the study is, and really help weigh in on, is this feasible? Is this something that patients will want to be part of? Because if you don't have a study that patients are willing to take part in, then you're going to fail. So, we've been really big advocates on making sure patients are incorporated early on.
This past Monday was Veterans Day, and I followed the AAKP site on X or Twitter all the time, and I noticed that as part of the Veterans Health Initiative, that there were a number of people that were posting photographs and statements about people in their family that served our country. Can you talk about the Veterans Health Initiative a little bit?
Yeah. Our Veterans Health Initiative, within our Center for Patient Engagement and Advocacy, it was designed a number of years ago to advance research, innovation, and policies, really aimed at safeguarding the highest standards in kidney care and treatment for veterans who have kidney disease, both inside and outside the VA medical system. Our president, Ed Hickey, he served as an infantry officer in the U.S. Marine Corps. He's chair of our Veterans Health Initiative. So he has a real passion in working with veterans, and because of him, we actually moved into a formal partnership with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And that partnership, or that collaboration, aims to improve health outcomes enhance the quality of life for veterans with kidney diseases. And so one thing that we like to do surrounding Veterans Day, we do it around July 4th and Memorial Day, is really to honor those individuals, whether they have passed or whether they're still around, just honoring their service for the country. And we want to make sure that veterans have just as much access and education on kidney disease as the rest of the community does. And we know things are a little different within the VA, but having that partnership with them, we can really make sure that they all have access to the same information. And one thing that we're doing, which I'll talk about a little bit more, is increasing our ambassador initiative to have more military family members and veterans as part of our ambassador program. So veterans and military families, active duty military, they're all very important to AAKP. And every one of us knows a veteran or has a veteran in our family. And we just want to respect them and honor them all throughout the year, really.
Okay. You mentioned the ambassadors program a couple of times, the program you helped to develop. Can you please discuss what the ambassador program is all about?
Yeah. When I started at AAKP in 2017, one of my tasks was to create this ambassador initiative, which is a group of very motivated, empowered individuals who they themselves have kidney disease, or they're a family member of a kidney patient, or they're a living donor. And they are kind of the go-to person in their local communities, whether at their dialysis unit or maybe in their church. They're the person that people go to ask questions about, hey, I know you have kidney disease. Have you ever experienced this? Or I'm starting dialysis. What kind of questions should I ask my doctor? So we've taken those individuals and built this community of ambassadors around the country who really push forward AAKP's mission. So they get all of our communications, all of our access to all of our resources, and what they can do is go into their local communities and share that with individuals that maybe don't know about AAKP, they're not members, or maybe they're not on the internet very often, they don't have access to it, or they don't know where to go for information. So we really train those ambassadors to kind of be the eyes and ears of and voice of AAKP out in the local communities, because we're a small team. We can't be everywhere all at once, but our ambassadors, they're very motivated, like I said, and what they want to do is, of course, they want to help themselves and have improved care for their kidney journey, but they also want to help others. It goes back to that selfless act of serving others and finding your purpose. So I've heard from so many individuals over the years that they've been diagnosed with kidney disease, and at first they didn't want to talk about it, they didn't want to share it with anybody, they were kind of down and depressed about it. And then one day they said, you know what, if I'm going through this, somebody else is going through this, and me sharing my story will maybe help them. Me sharing what I'm going through or the struggles that I've had will maybe help somebody to make a better decision, or to know what questions to ask their doctor, and kind of change the course of things. So our ambassadors are really those passionate individuals that want to be of service and be a part of a more informed, empowered community.
Okay. I'm sorry, Erin, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And I was just going to mention we have about 200 ambassadors across the country right now. And where we've been expanding the last few years into other countries. So we have about a dozen global ambassadors. And for anybody out there who lives in Hawaii, Massachusetts, Nevada, South Carolina, South Dakota, and Vermont, we encourage you to apply to be an ambassador if you're interested. But of course, wherever you're located, if you're interested, please reach out. You know, we're always accepting ambassador applications. We can never have too many. We want to make sure that ambassadors are representative of the kidney community. So we have, you know, individuals of all types and stages of kidney disease, all ethnic and racial backgrounds, geography, educational backgrounds, you know, people that are younger, people that are older, veterans, like I said, military family members. So we really encourage anybody who has that interest in doing something a little bit, or being part of something a little bit larger than themselves, to reach out and apply to be an ambassador.
Okay. I was just going to ask about that. How does one become an ambassador for the AAKP? We got everybody all fired up now. How do we follow through? Erin? Uh-oh. Did I lose you, Erin? Okay. Erin's going to have to log back on again. If you go to the AAKP website, aakp.org, there's an area there where you can apply to become an ambassador for the AAKP. The very simple series of questions, and of course they'll you know, take care of you. So, oh boy, I'm getting messages here. Any rate, the things that they do, you know, education, it's all patient-centered education. In fact, everything is about patients with the AAKP. That's their main focus, is what, you know, what's best for kidney patients. She tells me she's trying to get back on. All right, so yeah, and as you know, they do webinars. We have our annual national patient meeting, which was in Florida this year. We have a policy summit that's coming up next week. Erin mentioned on Wednesday. There's a global summit also that's coming up relatively soon. That's on kidney disease innovation. That's always very interesting. They send out a monthly magazine, a monthly newsletter. They frequently correspond with us. So, and lots of publications, as Erin mentioned. Advocacy work not only includes Hill days, but calling and writing letters to elected officials, and patient engagement, obtaining the patient and care partner's perspective on everything, on all things. We try to match up certain patients with certain issues, certain problems, certain manufacturers, certain people that provide services, so that we have good communication, and you know, they're aware of us as patients. For example, Erin was talking about trials, and you know, when you have trials like for medications, for example, you want to match people up with a particular trial that fit. Now, someone like me, I have polycystic kidney disease. You know, a good trial for a PKD patient might be someone that wants to match up with tolvaptan or Jarnique. You know, the medication that slows down the growth of your cysts. So, boy, she's saying she can't get back on before 6 p.m. Wow. So, at any rate, but I'm still here. So that you know is why we're so centered on patients, patient care, people that are related to patients, family members, caretakers, coworkers, you know, that sort of thing. So a lot of patient engagement, and in areas where we can't be and we can't stand up for ourselves, the organization stands up for us. You know, they make sure that patients are considered and protected, and if they feel that something isn't right for patients, they're not afraid to speak up and object and try to modify the situation. So patients are you know, included and thought about, and not excluded. So it's as she mentioned, it's very family-like, and we're very fortunate to have an organization like this that stands up for us and looks out for us. Now, about our guest, I want to tell you a shaggy dog story. While I've got a little time here. As you know, Erin used to work for the National Kidney Foundation, and then she graduated. Now she works for the American Association of Kidney Patients. The National Kidney Foundation every year around March has a summit. We all go to a hotel in Washington, D.C. There's a big group of experienced advocates at this hotel. The first day that we're there, they do training. We go over the issues that we're going to discuss with our members of Congress, and then the second day, they send us out on the Hill, and we discuss these issues, initiative, pieces of legislation with our members of Congress and their staff, trying to get them to co-sponsor to make life better for kidney patients. And every year when they do this summit, they have guests from other organizations and other manufacturers and service providers that are kidney related. And of course, the AAKP is invited to that. And I remember there was a woman up front, and she was doing the introductions, and she was saying, you know, we have certain organizations with us here, and she was going through the manufacturers and the people that had donated, and you know, those large groups that had put up a little money so the event could be held, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, they got around to the AAKP, and she was mentioning the people that were there from the American Association of Kidney Patients. And you know, when they do this in a large group like that, it goes as fast as they can because they want to get to the education part of the program. So they're going through and they're saying, you know, so and so's here from the AAKP, so and so's here from the AAKP, so and so's here from the AAKP, and then they mention Erin's name. They say Erin Kahle is here from the American Association of Kidney Patients, and the place goes up for grabs, man. I mean, people are standing, they're applauding, they're whistling, they're screaming. Everybody loves this woman because the truth of the matter is she taught most of us. She, just like I said earlier, you know, I was in a little room that had another little room with an L-shaped table, and there were about a dozen of us that were in that little room. And there were two instructors from the NKF that were talking to us about going up on the Hill, how to talk to our members of Congress, the things to say, the things not to say. You know, like, I voted for you, I expect you to support this, or I contributed to your campaign, I expect you end up out in the hall if you do those kind of things. So, But at any rate, Erin was there. And Erin hadn't been with that organization for years, literally for years. But we remembered her. And we remembered the great things that she has done for us. And as I said, the people stood up and clapped and cheered and applauded because we have so much love and respect for Erin Kahle. And it just was a moment kind of frozen in time. And I was thinking about this the other day, how fortunate that we all were to have Erin teach us. And that's why I always refer to her as my teacher, my mentor, my friend when I see her. I always give her a big hug and I thank her for setting me on this path because you know your Uncle Jim. I'm kind of dedicated to this. This is pretty much all I do. This is how I spend my spare time. And a lot of that inspiration to do the things that I do come from this young woman, come from Erin Kahle, because of the great way that she handles herself and the great things that she taught us, and making sure that we understood what we were supposed to do and how to do it, and the right things to say, the right things to ask, how to present things, how to prepare, all that sort of thing. And you know that led to your Uncle Jim. That's why I have over 100 groups on Facebook where I'm either a moderator or I'm the administrator or you know the founder for that matter. And that's why I do the walking that I do to raise money for the various groups that I'm affiliated with, like the American Association of Kidney Patients. That's why you know, I speak to my members of Congress and their staff on a regular basis about important kidney issues, things that I know are important to you guys and important to me personally. So, and all of this kind of stems or goes back to working with Erin and being taught how to do things and being taught the right way how to do things. So, you know, she's uh, so that you know a little bit about her, and you know about a little bit about the things that she does, and you know a little bit about the American Association of Kidney Patients. And I want to encourage all of my kidney friends out there to please consider joining the AAKP. You can sign up, as I said, on their website, aakp.org. You can become an ambassador. When you get more experience, maybe you know you apply to get on the board of directors. Maybe later on you apply to get on the executive board. They're a great bunch of people, and as I said, they're solidly behind us as kidney patients, and it's a very kidney patients oriented organization. In fact, that's really all they're concerned themselves with is, you know, what's best for us as kidney patients. So just a great group of people, and I'm very proud to be a part of that organization. I'm proud to be a member of their board of directors, and I plan to remain an ambassador until the day I die. So I hope that you'll give them some serious consideration about their time. So, any rate, we're trying to get Erin back. She's telling me she can't log on until 6 o'clock her time. That's about now. So hopefully we'll get her back, and we don't have that much more left of the interview. So we just kind of want to finish up if we possibly can. And go from there. So if you have questions or comments about the American Association of Kidney Patients, the AAKP, you can always write to your Uncle Jim, and I'm happy to respond. My email, kidneystories@hotmail.com. I'm all over Facebook. You can find me. I'm all over X or Twitter or whatever they're calling themselves these days. You can find me. I'm even on TikTok. So if you have questions or concerns, anything, I'm happy to answer questions. And if I don't know something, I look it up, and I try to give you the best answer that I can. I guess we can talk a little bit about future broadcasts. I'm doing a broadcast this Friday at my normal time. I'm talking to Vaughn Reynolds at that time. Vaughn is an Alport's patient. He was in the Army and also served in military services for a long, long period of time. He has had issues with protein and blood in his urine ever since he was a child. He went undiagnosed for a significant amount of time until he was an adult. He got sick one day and in 2023, and his wife took him into the emergency room, and they did some tests. They referred him to Walter Reed. They did some more tests and a biopsy, and that's how he was diagnosed with Alport's. Since that time, he's become a very, very good kidney patient in terms of taking care of himself, diet, exercise, keeping up with his labs, that sort of thing. And he's also a very, very good kidney advocate. He works with the American Kidney Fund. He works with his buddy Chet. Chet, I've been trying to get you on the show for a while. I wish I'd hear from you. And he also works with a couple of other large kidney groups. So it should be an interesting broadcast on Friday. That's at our normal time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So you want to check that out. Our most recent replay is with Fred Hill. We did a broadcast last week. The replay seems to be going very well. It's very popular. An awful lot of post reach on Facebook, which is good. You can catch it on Facebook. You can catch it on Twitter. The video itself is on YouTube. Links to the replay are on TikTok, several other places. Again, interesting a broadcast with Fred, and you're going to want to check that out. Recently, I started a group called "Why Is It So Difficult to Donate a Kidney?" And in that vein, the thing that motivated me to start that group is one of our good friends, Michael Gilchrist, has been trying to donate a kidney, and he's going through all sorts of things that delays, not getting called back, testing, health issues, communication issues. It's taking a lot of time, and that generally is the way that it works with kidney donation. And as you know, his wife is on dialysis, and what I think is happening, I have to talk to Mike about this, but what I think is happening is there's a paired donation thing going on. He wants to donate to a third party to move Christina up to the top of the list and get Christina a kidney. And of course, they're very concerned about making sure that this is done right and that they follow all the steps and that they get the mission accomplished. But as you know, none of this, if you've had any experience with kidney transplant, none of this goes really very fast. And it's interesting to look at it from the perspective of a donor, because those of us that have kidney disease, we kind of look at it from a recipient's perspective. And I've often thought about what it's like to actually be the guy that's donating. So we're going to talk about that a little bit the following Friday. So that should be very interesting too, and you want to tune in and check that out. And of course, you know, there'll be an instant replay. So if you happen to miss the broadcast, you can catch it at your own leisure on your own time. And you know, we'll all learn about this together. And so, gosh, it's 8 minutes after. Hopefully, Erin will be back soon. Okay, she says she's having trouble with her computer. Erin says she's having problems with her computer. So I think what we're going to do at this point, I'm going to go ahead and close the broadcast. And I'm sorry if Erin happens to contact me and says she's ready to go, then I'll log back on and we can finish. And like I said, I just don't have that many. I have like 2 or 3 more questions, and that's it. So I apologize to everybody for the inconvenience, and hopefully my rambling on has been somewhat helpful. So I'm going to hang out and wait to see what happens with Erin, and hopefully she'll get back, and you know, I'll try to let everybody know what's happening with that. So you know, my apologies. I don't understand what's happening myself, but something on her end. At any rate, so I thank you guys for tuning in and checking us out, and we will talk to you very soon.